Hey kids, this is Mrs. Rones with Take 3 of Objective 39, Knowing Properties of Coordinates and Planes. I'm here with Mina the cat, and we are going to take you through crash course on some parts of coordinate planes that hopefully is a review for you. So, what you see in front of you is not a grid. It is a coordinate plane. And a coordinate plane is divided up by two lines. They're usually darker on your coordinate plane. They're typically down the middle, but they don't have to be. And these are called axes. And specifically, this is the x-axis, and this is the y-axis. And for kids who struggle to remember which one is which, this vertical line almost begins the bottom of the letter Y so that you know which is which. Now, smack in the middle of those two is this point, and it is called the origin, and its coordinate is 0, 0. We'll talk about coordinates in a couple minutes here. Now, that x and y axes divide up our coordinate plane into 4 smaller squares, which are called quadrants. And when we label our quadrants, we use Roman numerals. So this is Roman numeral 1, and it goes in counterclockwise. 2, 3, and it gets a line on the top and the bottom. So don't just write like that. It gets a top and the bottom. And Roman numeral 4 is I and V, not this. Don't do that, okay? All right, when you are looking at a coordinate plane, occasionally you will see something that looks like, I'm dropping my markers, this. This is not called a dot, this is called a point. And you can communicate to another person where that point is using a coordinate. And a coordinate is made up of two numbers, the x and then the y, in parentheses. And so the x communicates the horizontal motion from the origin, and the y indicates the vertical distance from the origin. So in this case, if I want the coordinate for this, I need to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places to the left, which is a negative direction on the coordinate plane. Left and down are negative. If you think of like a number line, moving left would be getting smaller. You have a smaller quantity going that way, or smaller number. And if you think of a thermometer, like the old ones with the little red mercury that goes up and down, as the temperature increases, the little mercury goes up, and as it decreases, it goes down. And so, because I move 6 to the left, it'll be -6. And I'm going to get that positive and negative for the x and y axis too. There we go. And as I move then 6, 1, 2, 3 down, I did the y second because the y is the second part of the coordinate and it's the up and down. And because I went 3 down, it's -3 because I move in the negative direction. Now, something that will help you to determine which quadrant a coordinate is in without even having to graph it is to pay attention to the positive and negatives in the coordinates. Any coordinate in the first quadrant is going to be a combination of two positive numbers. Positive direction, positive direction. Anything in the second quadrant is going to be a negative and then a positive. Negative direction and then a positive direction. Quadrant 3 is going to be two negatives. Quadrant 4 is going to be positive and then negative. Kids sometimes laugh at this, calling this the winking owl, the sleeping owl, and maybe the dead owl. I don't know if his eyes were X's maybe. And I think we have it all except for coordinate plane is all of this. Great. And so for your homework, you are going to practice or refresh your memories on writing coordinates, plotting points where you're given coordinates, and then go through and label some quadrants for where those points are. So let's start with letter A. And if this is totally review for you, feel free to pause this video, fill this in entirely, and then restart again just to check if you're right. If you still need a little bit more support, feel free to watch more of this video until you get a little bit more acclimated to what we're doing here. So A is asking for what is the coordinate for this A. So from the center, I'm going to go the horizontal direction first, and because I'm moving left, it's going to be negative. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Negative 4. And then up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And up is positive, so positive 6. And that was in quadrant 2. Here. Now B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again in the negative. And then, ooh, this is tough because the C is there. 1, 2, 3. Well, what do we do there? Well, that point appears to be halfway between 3 and 4. So we can say 3.5 or 3 1/2. Each one works the same. Okay. C is 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left. And then no movement up or down from the x-axis. So it gets a 0 for the second part. Okay, D is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the left, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. So make sure you have a negative 5, and that is in quadrant 3. Now, what about point C? Is that in quadrant 2 or 3? Or is it in both? That one's kind of tricky. It is in both. All right, how about E? 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right, so that's positive. But it goes off the coordinate plane a little bit. Is it okay to estimate? In this case it is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Down is negative. And what quadrant is that in? Quadrant 4. Okay. Ooh, F is right in the middle of a box. Can we write a coordinate for that? I think we can. Let's try it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1/2. We're moving in the positive direction, so we can write it like this too. 1, 2, 3 1/2. And because it's down, it's negative. And that's quadrant 4. And now G is on the y-axis. So it goes 0 first because there's no horizontal motion on the x-axis, and now it's up 3. And which quadrant is that? It's actually 2. 2 different quadrants, 1 and 2. Great, and make sure you're writing those with Roman numerals. Okay, for this next part, we are going to plot points. So 6, 4, that's positive 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4. AA. And when you're counting for points, make sure that you're counting on the lines and not in the middle of the boxes. That'll help you a lot. This is quadrant 1. And then B, negative 3 and 2 up. B, B, and we always label so that people know that we know where those points are. It's quadrant 2. CC. Again, if you feel like you know what you're doing, feel free to pause this and work on your own, and then come back and check your work. DD, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the left, 1, 3 down. They're both negative, so it needs to be in quadrant 3. That's DD. Okay. E is 0, 0. That's our origin. And that, which quadrant do you think that would be? It's in 1, 2, 3, and 4. Great. 0, 7. Do you think it's going to be here-ish or here-ish? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's here. 0 shows there's no motion going left and right. 7 means 7 up. That was F, and that is between 1 and 2. G is -3 and 0. GG, that's between 2 and 3. 0 and -2, so start in the middle. 2 down, so that's H and H. And that's quadrants, what? 3 and 4. 5, 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the right, and then 0. So that's I in quadrant what? 1 and 4. Good. Now we have 3.5 and 2. Is it going to be perfect? Maybe not. It's going to be okay. You just estimate. There's my 3.5 and 2 at J. Quadrant 1. Now we could see just looking at this, this is positive and then negative. We know that this is going to be in quadrant 4. Positive and negative. This is another 4. Positive and positive. We know this has to be quadrant 1, right? If you don't have this memorized, you can just think. Moving positive and positive is going to put you in this quadrant. Moving negative and negative is going to put you in quadrant 3. Okay, I think we left off at JJ. Let's do KK. 6.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. 1.5 down. KK. Then L, 2 and 2/3. 1, 2 and 2/3. 1, 2, 3 down. So that is LL. M, 3 and 8. 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's okay if it goes off the coordinate plane a little bit. And -6, -9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That one really goes off the coordinate plane. All right. So that is all that you're going to have to do on your homework. That's all we're going to do on our notes. This is just a refresher. Hopefully this is a review. And if not, hopefully this is a sufficient review of what you need to move forward. So for your homework, you will notice it looks just like our notes. So it has the same exact setup. See on the left how we had to write the coordinates and the quadrants. And here we had to plot the points and the quadrants. That's the exact same thing as you will do here. There's only a couple little things to add. First, you need to label the X and the Y axis. We did that on our notes here and here. Then I've asked for you to label the positive and the negative parts for each axis because that's going to help you keep straight what's positive and what's negative. So you should label the positives and the negatives. And then write the coordinates for these points here, label with the corresponding quadrants. So there's the points, or the coordinates, and there's the quadrants. And then last one says plot the points and label the points with the quadrant. So plot the points, make sure that you label which ones they are, and then go back and mark the quadrants. And then at the bottom, it's asking, what is the difference between a point and a coordinate? What is the difference between a point and a quadrant? Coordinates, sorry. Point and the coordinates. All right. Hopefully that makes sense to you, and you're good to go for your homework. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at d-roms@d231.rochelle.net. As always, this isn't meant to make up for attendance or attentiveness in a lesson, but this is hopefully going to help students who were gone, need a refresher, need a little clarification for your homework. So hope it helps, and we'll see you next time. Bye.